Marcus Burnett, welcome to the WP Minute.
Hey there, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Football season, who you rooting for?
I will admit that I'm not a big football person.
Okay.
And neither is anyone else in our household because it's all girls. But I've been relegated to rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs because of Taylor Swift.
Oh, Jesus. My arch nemesis.
I have no real stake in any of it, though. I don't do fantasy football or anything like that, so I honestly don't care who wins.
Yeah. Well, that's the stream, everybody. Marcus has got to
go. See ya.
No, really, it's only because, whoops, I didn't want to put that up just yet. It's really only because, Patrick Mahomes is really the one to go against Tom Brady's record. Why can't I find the little side-by-side window here? I'm all over the place. Let's move this over here. Patrick Mahomes, head quarterback, lead quarterback, starting quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. Is really the only one who's going to touch.
I am that aware, at least. I know that he's the quarterback. Netflix has a pretty good documentary that follows like 3 quarterbacks through last season or something. Patrick Mahomes was one of them. Pretty good documentary. Enjoyed watching that, even though I'm not a huge football person.
Very good. But Orlando Magic's your basketball team, right?
Yes, love basketball. Both been really into women's basketball this summer, WNBA. Both my daughters play basketball, so we've gotten really into watching women's. But yeah, I'm ready for the NBA season to come back too. I'm
still relishing in the Boston Celtics. We're still looking at the trophy. Actually, my son, or all 3 of my sons, their elementary school, they have I guess 7 schools in the state or something like that got replica trophies from the Boston Celtics, and it's in the lobby. It's nice. It's great. It's great to be a Boston fan. I'm sure you're sick and tired of hearing that.
Yeah. Let someone else have a turn.
Yeah. Today we're talking about preparing yourself for a WordCamp. Both Marcus and I will be at WordCamp US the 17th through the 20th. I'm actually leaving the 20th because I couldn't get that much time off. But I'll be there 17, 18, 19, leaving mid-morning on the 20th. You leaving the 21st?
I am leaving real early in the morning, like 1 a.m. or something on the 21st. My oldest daughter's birthday is the 21st, so I'm trying to make it back to Florida in time to spend some time with her that day.
Catching the red eye back, are you?
Yep, be late night. I get back in here at like 8:30 in the morning or something like that.
I've never seen such terrible flights schedules from Boston to Portland. It's the worst. I'm actually leaving out of Providence, so I have to do a changeover in Chicago. So it makes like the whole travel like, I don't know, 9-10 hour day. But if I was leaving out of Boston, it was just red eyes back, and like by the time I get home, it would be literally minutes before my wife has to leave for work. So I couldn't swing the Boston trip for a direct. So.
Yeah, I'm coming back from Portland to Minneapolis to Orlando, so like couldn't be worse, like longer way to go.
Great stuff. All right, so if it's your first time to a WordCamp, this should be helpful for you. If everybody can see us okay. Last time I did a live stream with Kevin Geary, I had some technical issues. Mark says, please prepare me. I'm a WordCamp virgin. There's a lot of stuff that can happen at a WordCamp, or you could do nothing. You could just hang out, chat with people. There's so much to do. We're going to talk about that later on in the episode. Before we get there, just going to share a couple pieces of content that the WP Minute has published this week, and then we'll dive into the meat of the topic. So let me go ahead and pull up. Oh, and before I forget, let me just throw this up here. If you've not met Marcus before, you can find his side hustle, his passion, at the WP.world. Check it out. I love this new little hero splash you have going on here with the changing colors. It's good.
Thanks. Yep.
Is that a block that changes that text? Or did you have to code that like a?
Oh, there's a lot of code going on here.
Is there?
I coded that one with a little inspiration from CodePen and a little bit of tweaking from ChatGPT. We can dive into that at some point if you want. But yeah, there's plenty of code going on there.
Awesome. First topic. article that went out literally this morning. If you're a WP Minute email newsletter subscriber, and why aren't you? The WPMinute.com/subscribe. You get Eric Karkovac's latest piece, Why Small WordPress UI Changes Are a Big Deal. And he talks largely about how the right-hand sidebar in the post and page editor kind of changed things around. And I still have muscle memory. Like I always scroll down to the featured image, and I'm like, where is it? It's like, oh yeah, it's now like the first thing on the top of the post editor options. And there's a few other things that changed there, like scheduling and status. This is a great piece. He sort of gives his critical look as somebody who's been using WordPress for nearly 20 years, somebody who helps people launch WordPress websites. So check this out, why small WordPress UI changes are a big deal. What about you, Marcus? Anything that drastically changed that you were like, hey, where'd it go? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think I last week, earlier this week, something posted about the move to trash button.
Oh, that's right. You were the one that started that.
Disappearing. And yeah, I got all sorts of comments for and against. And I do understand why it moved ultimately. I got a little clarity around that. But like anytime you have the who moved my cheese situation, it's like,
so why did you, what was the reason for them moving the delete button?
So it turned out, I guess, that people were accidentally hitting that button because it was just too prominent in the UI. And so they moved it under the kebab menu, as it were, but that's what it is.
So yeah, check this out. If you're somebody that is wondering, hey, why did that change? What kind of impact that has on you as the user or for your end user, which might be your customers? Why small WordPress UI changes are a big deal. Eric Karkovac posted right on the homepage, if you're watching this live, of the WPMinute.com. Oh boy, is there a tizzy in the WordPress world. The future of custom post types in WordPress? ? I put out this video yesterday on the WP Minute YouTube channel, youtube.com/@WPMinute, the future of custom post types in WordPress. Whew. Big debate, custom post types and custom fields inside of WordPress. How do we do it? When will we do it? We need it. Is WordPress a great content management system or not without these types of features? Is ACF the king of custom fields? What happens to them if WordPress rolls out custom fields and custom post types in core? The team at WordPress.com put out this little experiment, content model. Content models, create content models. It's an experiment only. You can find it on the video. I have it linked up in the show notes. You can search Automatic's GitHub repo for it. And I did a demo, and there's a demo video of it, of creating custom fields and custom post types right inside the block editor. I thought it was fantastic. I don't know, did you get a chance to see this or see it scroll through your social feeds, Marcus?
Yeah, I actually I watched this video yesterday and watched you walk through it and stuff. I came from Drupal world.
Me too.
Where custom post types, custom fields, even some like query stuff in Drupal called views was built in. And it was one of the things that drew the agency that I was working at the time to Drupal over WordPress, was having all of that stuff built in. This was maybe right on the cusp of custom post type UI and ACF even existing, right? So it's been a little while. And when we revisited content management systems to go with, that existed and we went the WordPress route. But I'm in favor of having those built in. I don't know if the way that this is structured makes the most sense to me. I'm not sure if this workflow of creating fields and binding them within like the block editor where you're also doing some styling stuff there makes the most sense to me. But I am definitely for having custom post types and custom fields as a core part of the of WordPress, of the CMS itself. And the same goes for views. That was one of the like heartbreaking things moving from Drupal to WordPress, was this like, okay, how do I get a list of content to show up on this page now the way I want it to, and ultimately ended up being a lot of hand coding. There's query loop block and some stuff that's in some third party plugins like CoBlocks and Cadence and stuff that help do some more advanced stuff there now. But man, Views was so complicated but so good at what it did, listing stuff on the page.
I'm telling you, man, that
coming to WordPress.
Yeah, that CCK and Views in Drupal for I really got to go back. I assume it's still in. I know a new version.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't followed along.
Yeah. I have to go back and look at that. And actually, that might make a good video. It won't do well on the algorithm, but I think for my own edification, it'll be pretty good to put that out there just to show like this is what a core CMS is doing, because that CCK and Views combination just unlocked so much for me as a non-developer, like the thinking of storing content and displaying content, the click of a button. And this is 18 years ago, and it's just like, why haven't we had that in WordPress? So I know this is a deep need. Obviously, everybody knows that. I mean, I think anybody who starts to build sites understands that. I think the issue here is that this particular prototype, this particular experiment is only that, and it's not meant to go into WordPress core, nor will it be further developed. Now, that's what I heard from good sources. I don't know if I know Daniel posted, who's leading WordPress.com right now, posted on Twitter as well. It's not going to be continued development cycle. But here's the thing with I guess open source and this world that we live in is this is out there now. Like this is an influential thing. Like I think for when they start to gather feedback and they maybe see people who play with this and leave comments or create issues or create posts about it or talk about it, like to me it's like, well, the cat's kind of out of the bag, and this still can influence the future of what happens in core, because I thought it was pretty good as like a 2-week prototype. Like I could see myself using this.
Yeah, definitely interesting experiment. To be honest, from like the putting out, literally having my hosting hat on at GoDaddy and other hosts too, I'm curious maybe if there's a reason why hosts haven't decided to step in and add that layer on top of, you spin up a managed WordPress hosting site, you've got custom post types and custom fields already there. You don't have to install an additional plugin to make that happen. Yeah. I'd have to go back to our team and see if that's been considered and, whether that was have roadblocks or whatever. But I feel like that, and being from Automatic and the WordPress.com team and having to wonder if that's, on their roadmap of how do we bundle this into WordPress.com, why maybe other hosts haven't gone down that path as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably a lot bigger fish to fry, I'd imagine, from the hosting side, right? Like onboarding, getting people used to using WordPress to build out sites, that kind of thing. That might be one of the issues. But anyway, fantastic to see this stuff out there. I hope it does kind of influence the future thinking of how custom fields and custom post types are done, at least from a layperson standpoint, non-developer standpoint. I really enjoyed it. Let's talk about WordCamps. Thinking back to my first WordCamp, which was 2010 Chicago, I think. Was the first one I attended and also the first one that I spoke at. These events have been invaluable, to me as somebody who's, constantly learning WordPress, connecting with the community, sharpening my public speaking chops when I was applying to speak at these events. WordCamps have always been, fantastic and a fantastic value. Although I guess one could argue that these days with cost of flight and lodging might start to push the limits of maybe most people's budgets. But when I look around the tech world or even the podcasting world, where I also spend a lot of time, these major sort of capstone events or like $1,000, $1,500 to attend. To get the ticket, to get access to the speaking and to the event rooms and all this other stuff and the after parties. Podcast Movement was just a few weeks ago, and it was down in DC, actually in the same place we were at last year for WordCamp US. I was going to go without a ticket just because I knew that event space was a great place for me to just network and talk to other people. But you can't beat a $55 ticket, $50 ticket, $55 ticket. I think it went up a little bit for WordCamp US, but still a phenomenal value. What's your thoughts on the value side of a WordCamp?
Yeah, I 100% think the value is there. I'll step back. I think some people who know me and have seen me at a lot of camps will be surprised to know that I really didn't go to a lot of WordCamps pre-pandemic. Most of my WordCamp experience has been on this side of COVID. Orlando had a couple of WordCamps in, I think, 2018, 2019, and I went to those because they were in my backyard. But then, starting at GoDaddy in the community side of things and going to WordCamps, being a part of what I do for work, I've really been able to go to a lot of them since then. As far as the value goes, you're right. WordCamp US, I think, went up to $100, but still, like you said, most conferences are in the 1,000+ range just to start. That's before you even factor in any kind of travel, flights, hotel, all of that stuff. I will say that it is a little bit of an investment to travel to something like WordCamp US or WordCamp Europe or Asia, the larger flagship camps, unless you're happen to live in that area already. But there are WordCamps all over the country. So if you're worried that, going to WordCamp US is going to break the bank, then, there are most likely options closer to you that won't. I just came back from WordCamp Minneapolis not that long ago. There's a pretty large one in Phoenix. They're kind of scattered across the country and really across the globe. There are actually tons more post-COVID in Europe than the US. So if you do happen to be watching this and you're from Europe somewhere, there are a lot to choose from there, especially in like Spain and Germany and in those areas. But again, to the value, I think there's so much to be said for the people that you can meet and the companies that you can find out about and all of that I think the value is 100% there for as low as the ticket costs are compared to other types of conferences.
A lot more WordCamps. I have, if you don't know, central.wordcamp, and I'll put this in the chat as well. Central.wordcamp.org is going to be the central hub for most of these WordCamps and events that are happening under the WordCamp brand and WordPress brand. A lot more happening on the non-North America side of the map and South America for the rest of 2024 anyway. Portland, Oregon, and I think Rochester, New York. Is that on this list? Yeah, right down here in October.
It's in October.
Are like the last in the U.S., if I scroll down, that I know about. And then we have State of the Word happening. I know this is not WordCamps, but then State of the Word is happening in Tokyo in December. But just to, in the same context of talking about like expenses and value and all this stuff, media partner people in the media core were invited to go to State of the Word, but the cost is like way too prohibitive for us, WordPress media folks. Like, we are not newsflash. If you follow this channel for any amount of time, like to drop like $10,000 to fly there and stay there, like the few days before Christmas, at least for me anyway, with 3 small kids, is out the window. But I think prohibitive for a lot of folks on this side of the globe to get there. Around that time. So, these events, while they're creeping up and maybe getting a little bit more professional with air quotes, like the State of the Words is now its own event like that, and will happen across the world in different years. The costs are still prohibitive for travel, but locally, if you're local to it, which I feel is like the essence of these camps. I know we have a lot of friends that speak at whatever, US, Europe, Asia, but to me, it's like, well, shouldn't we showcase the speakers in that area? No offense to any of my US friends who speak at the Europe and Asia events, but maybe it's like, maybe the Europe and Asia folks should be the ones speaking at those events. That's just my sort of side opinion on that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I have not actually managed to make it out to WordCamp Asia the last couple of years. Things have come up both times that have kept me here in Orlando, but I have been to the last few WordCamp Europes, as with GoDaddy as part of the sponsorship there. And it is. I always appreciate when there are folks from, the local area that are coming in and bringing their perspective to the community.
I think one of the other great things, like I was hinting at the start of our discussion, is it doesn't have to be. I'll get your take on it, and then you can share with me your thoughts. Track, the event track, the presentations, the lightning talks, like all that stuff, or the hallway track. I've always been a hallway track person, going to WordCamps to meet with my friends and just get the general vibe of like what is happening in WordPress. To me, has always happened in the hallway track. If you've not heard about that before, it's the people in the hallway who are not going, going to the talks, and just meeting up with people. I mean, when I talk about like the history of WordPress, and when I sort of debate hot topics with my regular co-host Mark Szymanski, we talk about like things and why things are the way they are in WordPress. I always forget that, man, we literally saw this stuff being built and discussed in the hallway tracks for years, right? Like a lot of these decisions and a lot of the code and the software and the businesses were built in the hallway track. Like I just remember sitting with the whole Easy Digital Downloads team when Pippin launched EDD, and like them working on new versions and people literally walking by giving him ideas while he's building it. Like it's amazing to think back at those moments. But for me, it's always been about the value in the hallway track. Your thoughts, the official track or the hallway track, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, I don't think it's a binary decision. I do think when it comes to having an influence over what's happening kind of in the official channels, the folks, the core committers, the surrounding teams, I would say the contributor day is definitely the way to go there, and we can talk more a bit about contributor day in a minute. But I do like what you're talking about being able to influence or get info about kind of the surrounding tangential products that are happening, that are being built by individual companies or individual people. Even there are so many people in the WordPress space that are one or two man shops that are building plugins and doing it well, doing a great job, to be able to kind of have an influence on those products, especially if you use them, or if it's something new that sounds like you'd want to use it. That'd be helpful to you to be able to kind of bend their ear and say, hey, I like where you're going with this. What if it what if you took it a step further by doing this with it? And being able to kind of influence the products that you use, I think is really interesting. I will say, for anyone who's attending their first WordCamp, though, my advice would not be to skip all of the sessions and just do the hallway track. I think if you're kind of a seasoned veteran of WordCamps and you've been to a lot of them, and maybe you're at a smaller WordCamp where there aren't a ton of sessions, go ahead, and the hallway track is probably going to provide you more value, especially since a majority, if not all of the videos, all of the sessions are videoed and posted to both YouTube and WordPress.tv afterwards. So you can always go back and watch those. But if it's your first time, I think there's something to be said for being in the room, understanding how the content is presented to folks in the space. And then a lot of times speakers will leave time for question and answer afterwards, and you'll have the opportunity to, be able to share in asking, about the topic at hand, where, if you watch it later on YouTube or WordPress.tv, you don't have that direct access anymore. So I would say early on in your WordCamp going experience, do look at the schedule ahead of time, pick out a handful, 3, 4, 5 sessions that seem interesting to you or might provide some value to doing your work faster, better, whatever the case may be. And definitely attend those and be involved. Sit up front, ask questions, get some answers directly from the source. And then, as you get on into having been to a number of WordCamps, still look at that schedule, still see if there's someone that you've always wanted to see speak that, finally has a session coming up or whatever. But then, yeah, definitely spend some time in that hallway track, because there's a ton of value in getting to know the folks that are, building the software, building the products that you use, surrounding the software, and then potentials for collaboration on projects and for folks to help you out, for you to help other folks out, and all of that.
It's a fantastic professional response. And I'm going to bring the room down a little bit, Marcus, with a little bit of a fun refund from my friend Mark Zemansky with a $100 donation to the show. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for refunding me all of the money that I've given you on your show. Mark Zemansky, everybody. MJS.bio, not Mark Zeminski. Fantastic advice, Marcus, 100%. The sessions, I was actually talking to Mark about this, and I was like, man, you got to go to the talks. Number one, hey, support some of the folks that you see on the list. It's a lot of work to put these talks together. A lot of stress, trying to get these things done, on time, and then to present it to a crowd of people, especially if it's your first time speaking. So supporting the people that you see, putting a presentation together, even if it's related or unrelated to your work, hey, maybe you find that topic interesting. Certainly dive in. Try to spend some time, between the hallway and those sessions. What about Contributor Day? Any tips or advice on the contributor side? You're a guy who sees a lot of these WordCamps, a lot of the contributor days kicking off. Maybe people walking into a contributor day going, is this for me? Can I contribute? What are your thoughts on Contributor Day at the start of a WordCamp?
Yeah, I'll take a quick step back just in case anybody is not aware of what Contributor Day is. It's not present at every WordCamp, but generally the larger ones, the flagship camps, and some of the larger local or regional camps will have a Contributor Day. WordPress, the ecosystem, the community, if you will, is built of 21 teams, 21 currently as of this recording, teams that kind of make up the different parts of what's going on in WordPress. So that's contribution, that's plugin review team, theme review team, there's the photo directory team, which I'm a part of, there's translations, there's all sorts of different parts to the WordPress ecosystem. Contributor Day is a way for all of those teams to kind of gather together in one place and discuss how things are going. How can we continue to move this piece of the puzzle forward? And how can we invite other people into this process? And so a lot of what's going on at Contributor Day is onboarding folks who maybe haven't contributed in the past or have contributed in one area of the project but want to branch out and look at some other pieces and contribute there. I have been to every Contributor Day that has existed for a camp that I've attended, and I think it's invaluable in the sense that you have direct access to influence the core project, the entire ecosystem, depending on what part of it makes you passionate. You have the ability to jump in and have influence over that for millions of websites for everyone using WordPress, for a large chunk of the internet, and you can come in and have a voice. And so I highly recommend that everyone attend Contributor Day if they can. I know that occasionally that also bumps up the budget. It's an extra hotel room. It's an extra day of food and dinners and all that stuff. So I understand if there's like the financial part of it doesn't make sense. But if you can swing it, I highly recommend going to Contributor Day and having that direct influence over the project, the community, the surrounding pieces that make up what is WordPress.
Traveling can be taxing. I know when I'm going east to west, and especially in this trip, 8-9 hour travel day, if not more, if I actually count the driving and whatnot. First thing I want to do, man, is go to sleep. Like I get there and I'm like, I'm not a nap guy. Like I will stay up, I'm usually up at 6 in the morning and up till 11:30 at night. But man, when I travel, I'm just done. And the first thing I want to do is just, it's great. Like, I'm heading there and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to meet my friends that I haven't seen in a while. Maybe I've already set up some meetings with them. I'll be working for Gravity Forms, so I have my Gravity Forms duties and responsibilities. But I just want to get off the plane, get to the hotel, check in, and at least take a power nap. What do you do when you first hit the ground or hit the hotel when you arrive?
A nap is good. Occasionally I'll take a nap.
He's going to tell me I don't nap. I drink a Red Bull and I'm out there.
Drink a Red Bull and power through. No, the strange thing is, right? So for anyone who's not aware, for what I do for GoDaddy is I travel as part of the community WordPress community team. Field marketing team. We travel to WordCamps and talk to people about what GoDaddy is doing in WordPress. So I've been to a lot of these, and what's strange is even though that is my job, I am much more introverted than I am extroverted, which I don't think is uncommon for the WordPress community, but for someone whose job is to travel and talk to people, it's a little odd. So what I do generally when I go somewhere is I will quickly throw all my stuff down in the hotel, and then I will go find something probably outdoorsy and go hike, walk. I don't run, I don't jog, but I just want to be outside. Usually I'll grab the camera and turn it into a photo walk, but just really kind of get outside by myself. I'm not scheduling time with people. I'm not saying, hey, I'm going to be here at this time. Let's immediately go hang out and do something together. For the most part, I will just go wander by myself for 2 or 3 hours, just to get my head clear, to get away from people, because I know the next 2, 3, 4 days after that is going to be all people time, which I enjoy. For that time, I can jump in and I can be friendly and talk to people and really enjoy that time. But I do it better when I can clear my head ahead of time by just getting outside and away from the chaos, away from the busyness.
I'm going to put in chat a list of calendars you can book WordCamp US time with. So I started seeing folks, speaking of you mentioning you're not putting up you're not putting up your calendar to book time with people, immediately or whatever. I saw a bunch of people posting this under the WordCamp US hashtag. So I'm making a little Twitter thread with the calendars that I've found. I just put that I just put that link in the chat. I'm not doing it. Adam Pickering from Gravity Forms is. He's like, hey man, we're going to all these parties. He's got this list of like invites and after parties, and he's been asking me, hey, which ones do you want to go to? And I'm like, man, I'm getting old. I'm getting tired. I'm just tired looking at your list of events that you're going to after the day is done. So let's talk about that. We've looked at Arrival. We've looked at Contributor Day. Do I do the hallway? Do I do the track? Then there's a bunch of events. There's events that are officially announced. You see them posted either officially from WordCamp communication. Other brands are promoting their particular events. There's the actual official after WordCamp event that happens, I believe, on Friday. I think it's Friday. And then sometimes there's like hidden events. There's events that brands have limited seats to, and they'll send them out to the different influencers and folks and partners and customers that they want folks to go to. How do you handle those requests? Do you just say, I'm not going to go to any other than the ones I'm supposed to go to for GoDaddy? Any thoughts or tips or advice to use that time effectively, these WordCamp after parties?
Yeah. That's a good question because there are a ton of them. And I feel like for WordCamp US this year, it feels like more than usual. And they've all kind of piled on top of each other. So you do have to do a little bit of picking and choosing of what you might be interested in. If you're looking for what those events are, well, Matt, you shared for people to be able to book with individuals specifically. The official WordCamp sites will usually have a page for side events as people submit them. And I do the same on the WP World. For each camp, there's a list of the side events that I know of. Some of them are invite only and they're marked as such. So you'll be able to see them, but not register for them or know where the location is. Don't need you crashing invite only parties necessarily, but sometimes it's nice to see that people are, doing things for like contributors, for table leads and that kind of thing, even though, it's limited seating. I don't know. When it comes to figuring out what you can and can't do, I think the first thing you need to figure out is how much time are you able to give after contributor day, after an entire day of sitting in sessions and talking through the hallway track. Do you know that you're basically useless after 9 o'clock at night, right? I mean, you have to know yourself first to figure out what you can and can't handle. Look at the parties. Can I go to 3 parties that all have drink tickets and be a functioning human being by the third one? You know your own limits to some degree first. But then I would look and see, who's hosting the parties. Is it someone that you're a customer of or want to know about? It's a good time to go basically have direct contact with the folks that work at those companies. And that's not always easy to get, right? Sometimes you get tossed into a support funnel and you just want to talk to, the CTO and get some answers or, have suggestions or whatever. And this is the sort of event, something as big as WordCamp US, where the CTO may be there and you get a chance to talk to them face to face. And so, take those opportunities, look at who's hosting the parties. I mean, at the end of the day, just about every party is going to be a really good time. That's what these events are being thrown for, is to be a really good time. So any one of them that you choose, you're gonna go there and you're gonna enjoy for the most part. They all come with the disclaimer that there's going to be some noise. You're going to have to fight some volume. If you're not into that, maybe look to see if there's some smaller events that are being held, maybe either in an outdoor space that could be quieter or just a small venue where the noise isn't going to be an issue. But really, I think it comes down to they're all networking events essentially. So who can I get access to by going to XYZ party?
Let's talk about goal settings. We talked about sort of like decompressing when we get there, and maybe you have a certain goals that you have for GoDaddy that you want to share here, or maybe your own personal goals when you go to these WordCamps. For me, it's like, yeah, man, it's from the business side, it's making connections with folks who are going to, be either great partners or sponsors of the WP Minute. On the Gravity Form side, I'm always looking to connect with our customers to gain feedback Like you said, you might have support questions. How do you use Gravity Forms? Maybe you're in a challenging moment with a support ticket. Not that that ever happens here at Gravity Forms, but maybe you are. And you're trying to like, hey, I just need somebody to show me how to do this hands-on. These are, times where maybe you can have those conversations. Please don't go to GoDaddy's booth and say I have a support problem. I don't want to get blamed for that.
But please do. I mean, that's part of what we're there for. Go ahead.
Yeah. So these are for goal settings. Like I look at it like, how can I, meet up with my friends, reestablish those connections on the WP Minute side, sponsors and content partners. And then on the Gravity Form side, yeah, like have those connections with customers. And, I'm looking to start. There's going to be. I'm going to break it right here. I'm starting a new audio series for Gravity Forms, and I'm looking to connect with other WordPress business builders that are there, who are building their agencies, building their WordPress businesses, and I'd love to chat with you about a new podcast that I'm putting together under the Gravity Forms brand. So I'll be doing a lot of that sort of fishing, that networking to connect with others. But goal setting, Marcus, how do you approach it?
Yeah, obviously you're going to have different goals depending on who you're coming to the event as. In both of our cases, we'll be there representing companies that we work for. So on the GoDaddy side, these aren't sales events. We're not looking to sell you on something. We're looking to share what we've been doing in the WordPress space since the last time you saw us. Maybe it was the last WordCamp. Maybe you use our products and you don't know that we've launched, this or that for your hosting. But it's not a sales event, right? So we're looking to share some information. We're looking to get feedback, and we do that through folks coming to the booth and telling us, we'll ask, what do you do with WordPress? Do you have a GoDaddy product? How can we make it better? And we take that feedback directly back with us to product teams and engineering teams here at GoDaddy to work on those things. And if you want a demo, we're there to demo things. If you do have a support issue, we'll have some care team folks around as well that can help with issues right there on the spot as well. So please do come chat with us if you have something that you want to get sorted out. It's definitely a good time to do that. Personally, I do come to these with kind of a few goals, and generally they're networking goals. Generally it's, who have I not seen in a while that I want to make sure that I reconnect with, and who have I not met before in person that maybe I've had some chats with online that I'd really like to spend some time with in person. Because the reality is the conversations that we have online are different than the conversations we have in person. They're deeper, they're more personal, they're a little bit more free to, kind of get your thoughts out and get some feedback on your thoughts and stuff in a fairly safe environment. And so I definitely like to try and find ways to have in-person conversations with the people that maybe I've only seen and interacted with online.
Got to bring the stream down again. Thank you, Mark Zamansky, for another $100. This guy must have won cash drawing at his local bunco club. I don't know what he does and how he's doing this.
Mark's a riot.
I hope hope his company is profitable this month. Thanks, Mark Zamansky. Yeah, just a goal setting, super important. If you're starting your own business and you're new to the WordPress game, this is how I got my connections early on in the agency world. When I started my agency 15 years ago, I don't run it anymore, obviously, but still runs. My dad still runs it. Ran it for a decade. This is how I found other agencies to partner with. Hands down, the easiest way, because you have all these WordPress agencies there. And if you're new to the game and you're trying to figure out how to, get better clients, how to network with others, these WordCamps are invaluable for that. So that might be a goal, is just, hey, I'm trying to find customers, but maybe since my customers aren't going to be at a WordCamp, I could find other WordPress agencies, WordPress product companies that could help funnel business to me, or maybe I can just work for them, behind the scenes and contract out to them while I grow my portfolio of customers. That's how I did it in the early days. So yeah, goal setting, fantastic stuff. As we get to the back half of the show, I just want to quickly run through the resources available on the official WordCamp, and then I want to take a look at Marcus's site to talk about what he has available and how the WP World can help you on your way to WordCamp. So, of course, us.wordcamp.org 2024, September 17th through the 20th. This is the mainstay website that you can go and find all of the official information on. They do have a what to expect WordCamp US basics post. This was pretty good, for the maps and understanding the venue and getting yourself situated before you get there. They have a bunch of stuff. Showcase Day, a new thing. This is new, right? We've never done a showcase day before. This is something new where I believe that the organizers of the event are trying to help the sponsors a little bit more, right? This is something that's always like a give and take with these kinds of events. Like sponsorship's pretty expensive. What are you doing for us? Like how are you helping other than just throwing our logo up on the slide deck? And a showcase day, I feel, is just that, and that's great because sponsors put up a lot of money for this kind of thing, and having some airtime or FaceTime with folks is pretty good. And it's not just all sponsors.
I'll interject there real quick just to say that the sponsorship wasn't necessarily a buy-in to those slots. They were just limited to, I think, the sponsors being able to apply for those sessions. So those have still gone through the process of determining what's going to be the most interesting topics to present to folks. That they're not necessarily, actually, I don't think they're allowed to be all that salesy. Right. So I would still encourage people to go check those out. Those aren't timeshare slots, essentially. Those are sponsors that have been doing some really good stuff in WordPress over the last year or so and want to share what they've been up to. Yes, it's going to be sponsor specific stuff, but it's not going to be a hard sell at the end and keep you in the room until somebody buys. It's just some info. Yeah. Some info about what they've been up to. So I would still recommend that people go check those out.
And then there's a side events page /side events that lists some of the obvious side events happening. And I guess you could submit yours if you were running a side event, but maybe too late to get that listed at this point. I don't know. But check out the side events on the official us.wordcamp.org /2024. I'm just going to go to 2024. And then it's going to be back at the same place next year. 2025 will be also in Portland with the most horrendous flight path from Boston. Dear God, why? Let's talk about your website, thewp.world. If you've not seen it before, head on over, create a profile. There's a bunch of things. Man, you have taken this thing to the next level since when it was just, with air quotes, just sort of a profile collection of of WordPressers around the world. You've really taken this to the next level. So congrats on all the sleepless nights of doing all the coding and designing that you've been up to. So take us through what are the hot spots here where folks can use your site as a first-time WordCamp goer or veteran WordCamp goer?
Sure. The site's been around for just over a year now. My original goal for the site, which still remains the goal, is to connect people in the WordPress space with each other in person and online, with kind of a focus on the in-person part. People tend to kind of find each other online, whether that's Twitter, Mastodon, LinkedIn, different Facebook groups and stuff. But in person, I feel like pre-pandemic, a big way that WordPress grew and that we were, I'll say more united in our efforts was through a lot more in-person meetups and WordCamps. And so my goal here is to kind of encourage more of that with this site. And so started with the directory of folks in the WordPress space. That way you could see who lives near you within semi-reasonable driving distance. And you can find them and reach out and meet up for coffee or whatever. And if you realize there's, a dozen of us in a space, maybe it's time to start a meetup if there isn't one there already. So that's the original goal. That's still the main goal for the site. A lot of emphasis has been put on building up the WordCamp, the WordPress event The majority of those are WordCamps, but the WordPress event section of the site, and that recently got a little bit of a makeover as well. But it just gives you a ton of information, regardless of who you are, whether you're an attendee, speaker, sponsor, organizer, about upcoming events. But also, there's an archive of past events and all of that. So if you want to see how many people came to WordCamp Philly in 2018 or whatever it is, you hop there, and if I have access to the data, it's going to be there for you.
Man, I think when I first interviewed you about this platform, you said you're not a developer.
Not professionally.
Not professionally.
I know enough. I know
like
enough.
You said you don't play
stuff.
golf, and then you show up and you smoke me every hole. Like like you did it fantastic. I mean, I could never do this, and you say you're not a developer. This site is phenomenal.
I've worked with some developers like at SkyVerge and GoDaddy here, where worked with them in the sense that I was kind of on the support care side and they were doing the engineering part. And I look at what they write, and that's not what I write. So that's where I set the standard. They're developers. I'm someone who knows enough code to make a thing do what I want it to do.
Fantastic. So folks can go, they can see the list of stuff happening. Is there a way to network through the site? Like, can people alert other WordPressers or other folks on the site and say, hey, I'll be there. Can we connect? Is anything like that? Or is that still like far too advanced of what maybe you're up to?
I think I've, at least to this point, intentionally left the communication up to the different channels. So if you pick literally any WordPresser and go to their profile, you can see what social avenues they have for you to connect with them, whether that's on Twitter or Mastodon, but also any of the kind of Slack workspaces or Discord. You can mark all of those as like, you can find me on, the Make Slack or Post out of Slack or any of those. And that way, if people want to reach out, they know where they can be found. I think there's a level of moderation and anti-bullying and trolling and stuff that I'm trying to avoid so far.
Yeah.
That's not to say that I won't ever include some way for people to contact each other within the site, but there are so many ways for people to reach out to each other currently that I didn't feel like I needed to add another one.
Yeah, I agree. This is really cool. Like, I love the random WordPresser or random presser to see. Oh, look at that. Somebody right next to us in Jersey. I know Howard.
Yeah. Move on. He's no good.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is great to just like randomly hit the random button and find somebody and then see all their links.
Yeah,
this is really cool. And their badges and their WordPress.org badges. That's really awesome. Any other ways that you want folks to know about the site and how they can leverage it for the upcoming event?
Yeah, so I haven't linked this up yet. I sort of soft launched a page. I shared it on Twitter, but I haven't included it in any of the navigation here. But if you go to the wp.world/WordCamp-toolkit, I did actually create a whole attendee toolkit for, what not just I think you need to know, but collected some resources from across the web. There's some articles that you can read. There's some videos, some podcasts to listen to. So there's kind of information that I've sort of aggregated from across different sources and put together a bit of a guide for what essentially you should know before, during, and after the event for any given WordCamp. And I highly recommend checking that out as well. There's a lot of good information in there.
Yeah, this is great. Like the hallway track, the session track, some of the stuff that we talked about, contributor day, speaker lounge, that kind of vocabulary people just might not be privy to. Certainly not privy to if it's their first time. So that's really awesome. Yeah, this is great stuff. I threw that in the chat, so definitely click on that link and check that out. Marcus, this has been great. If anybody has any questions, I think we have a lot of veterans in the group, but somebody did ask, will I be there? Yes, I will. Marcus will be there. Mark Szymanski will be there. There'll be a lot of great folks from the WordPress community that will be there. Yeah, man, just excited. I'm getting, I'm going to say it again because I have that as my, I don't know, Twitter title, bio title, whatever it's called, name. I'll be tired at WordCamp US. I'm already feeling it. I don't know, something that, as soon as you have kids, man, it's just like any kind of like travel, I'm just like, ugh. But then I realize I'll be by myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to carry any bags, for 5 other people. So that'll be good. But yeah, just looking forward to the event. Excited to connect with anybody. If you're watching this and you'll be there and you want to connect, knock on my door right over here on Twitter or on the WP Minute. I'll be there. Marcus will be there in the GoDaddy booth. I'll be in the Gravity Forms booth for the most part, and looking forward to it. Any other words of wisdom before we take off, Marcus?
Just encourage people to go sign up for the WP World if they haven't, and that'll unlock all sorts of getting to see where people are around you and who's going to what WordCamps. It's a great place to list all of the WordCamps that you've ever been to kind of give yourself a checklist of where you've been and who's attended with you and all of that. So just go sign up and check out what everybody's up to there.
Yes, sir. 1,604 pressers, 82 businesses, 86 countries, 1,273 WordCamps, 1 community. Find it at the WP World. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's the WP Minute. Head on over to the WPMinute.com/subscribe to stay connected, and we will see you. I don't know. There'll be a video that plays before WordCamp US, and then I'll be at WordCamp US. But there'll be some videos lined up for next week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.